Happy New Year from the Pink Dress Effect. We already did the New Year episode, but it's only a couple weeks into January 2025. So I think it's still the new year.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to recover from the holidays, putting our Christmas decorations up and getting our houses.
Or not.
That's right. A lot of people I know are purging, going through closets. I have a goal to get through my entire house by the end of January. It's a great reset, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm Shannon. I'm one of the hosts. And
I'm Kim.
That's right. And we are on episode, I think it's 4. Am I saying that right? I think it is 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah, I think it's episode 4. So we're still really at the beginning of our journey, but a very exciting journey and something that we've been talking about for a long time. And so I'm really proud of both of us. And also your daughter, Sky, who's doing all the background work.
Yes.
My son, Trey, is going to start with the TikTok side here soon. But, you know, the brains behind the camera has been Sky, and so I want to thank her too. But our last episode, we talked about intentions, right? People say New Year's resolutions, but we kind of looked at it more as an intention. What is your intentions for your life for 2025? And so today's episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the responses that we got, which I thought were kind of interesting. These are some of the people that responded and what they want to work on in their life.
Yeah,
so,
what are they letting go of?
Letting go, yeah. So imposter syndrome, people pleasing, self-abandonment, emotional eating. I think we all can struggle with that sometimes. I catch myself on that one. Not filling my cup first. Oh my gosh. I think a lot of people struggle with that. People I know in my life.
Yeah.
Irresponsible spending habits. And it's so funny. I see this one. My sister on TikTok, I guess there's a challenge. I think it's a husband and wife. And they give, they have a budget they each get a budget to blow. I don't know if it was $100 a week, coffee, I want to buy a new shirt, whatever, with no questions asked. And I think they were reevaluating, like, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money,
when
$100 a week,
just to blow.
Yeah.
And so I think because you still want to have a little bit of spending money.
You do.
Rewind it a little bit to $25 a week and kind of no spend January.
Yes.
And so people do the no drinking or dry January, but no spend. And so
I'm going to do a slight version of that. Just not only the necessities.
And I thought that too, right?
Yeah.
Groceries and gas, I was kind of thinking. But then I went into Costco the other day, and I work out a lot, and they had all this workout stuff for like $12. So I got 3 things, but it was under $40.
That's
so I was
necessity.
like, I have to have little jackets when I go in and out of the gym. But I got
it's cold.
Exactly, but I got to get better about that because that 30 and 40.
It's the impulse spending.
Right, and it adds up, right? And then if you have financial goals, how are you going to get them if, unfortunately, you keep doing things like I do.
Like a lot of people do.
Well, right. Unsupportive people, so letting go of unsupportive people.
Yeah.
Prioritizing things over my relationship with God. So, letting things come in the way of a relationship with their higher power.
Which is so easy to do.
It is easy. We get busy day-to-day life or what have you. And I do want to apologize. I had a really bad sinus infection and bronchitis over the holidays. I am completely fine. I've been off my antibiotic for like 5 days, and I've got this stuff. I don't know what it is, but anyway, the residual leftover from that.
Still getting well.
Silly
feeling
cold,
fine.
But feeling fine. You may have be familiar with Mel Robbins. She's amazing. I listen to her podcast and just watch her on Instagram. She's got a lot of really, really great things she talks about.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about her that I think resonates kind of with us too, she is so down to earth. And I hope someday that we get an opportunity to meet her because I think from what I see on the camera, I believe she's the same way in person. It's almost how people say with us, right? We're just as down to earth.
She doesn't change.
No, my gosh, sometimes she's laying in bed talking. I love it. Like no makeup on. I mean, it's so real and not pretentious and those are my people, right? I like people like that. And so she wrote this book, Let Them, along with her daughter, Sawyer. I listened to her podcast the other day and how Sawyer became involved with this writing of the book. And I think it's kind of cool about even their relationship. They share dynamics of things that...
that mother-daughter relationship.
And that contributed to maybe Sawyer feeling some kind of way because of her mom working so much or what have you. But it was such a real thing because it's like, obviously you love your child, you love your mother, but even in those dynamics, there can be some There's can be some hurt, right?
Yeah, no, I hope that we can do a future episode on the mother-daughter relationship.
Oh, I hope we can too, because
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
and a mother.
I don't have a daughter, but I have a mother, and I know my mom, and she's been listening to the podcast, so thanks, Mom. But, sometimes we didn't have, we'd butt heads, and even as in adulthood, but I would say I've done a lot of healing and growth in the last year or so. And some of the conversations that we've had were reminding me of their conversations, Sawyer and Mel's.
Yeah.
And I just think it's awesome because my mom and I think are in a different place, and it's really good. But but I think that aside from your parents or whatever, but I think this book, we've ordered ours. Mm-hmm. We ordered them before Christmas.
Yeah, it was my Christmas gift.
Everybody wants one, and they're you can't get them anywhere. I've tried.
Right.
I went to like 4 different Targets. Can't get them anywhere. But ours is coming in the first week of February, and I'm excited about it. In the meantime, there's a lot of stuff on social media that you can read up on. And the theory really is, let them, right? Let people be who they're going to be. And then, right.
And not controlling people. And it ties in absolutely with the theme of for today, for our podcast, of letting go.
Letting go.
And how do you let them as absolutely a part of that process of letting go.
Yeah. And I think, I was looking at Mel's on Instagram and reading some comments, how you do. And there were some comments that people were like, what does that even mean? Let them, right? Someone makes you mad, let them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let them. But I mean, obviously, from what I take from it, let them. Yeah, it could be just let them and just walk away from.
Yeah.
That's not what she means. I think what she means is really like I love you, Kim. I love you. I value you. Our relationship, it means so much to me. Let's have a conversation, right?
Right.
I'm not just gonna say, oh, she made me mad. Get her out of my life. No, of course not. She means too much for me for that. And so I think that really resonated with me, because it's like the people that really mean the world to you, you have deep conversations, and they're hard sometimes.
Yeah, but once you have them and they are, not unable or unwilling to compromise or work with you to meet those goals, then you do have to say, let them.
Let them. You do, because it might continue to hurt you.
Yes.
Maybe some of their behaviors. And look, we're not innocent in all this either, right? I mean, I'm sure that I know I'm a good person. I know you're a good person, but even good people, right? I mean, everybody in my life, I feel like, are good people. But sometimes, people are in their own struggles sometimes. Yeah. I don't think there's some mean, nasty people out there, right?
Yeah, right.
And you just have to have your boundaries strong, because you're like, I'm not letting those people in my life. But I think even the people that we love, life is not easy all the time, and we all have stuff that we carry from whether our childhood or just experiences that we've had that might contribute to how someone is treating us. So I don't think that they're necessarily trying to be mean and hurtful, because they probably love you and care about you.
And I don't think people, just because you decide to let someone go, because we're going to talk about letting people go, but also letting things go. But if you do decide that you have to let a person go in your life, doesn't mean they're a bad person.
No.
They're just maybe not in a place to meet your needs, whatever situation that is, friends, relationships, or whatever it is. But I think the let them piece of it is let people be who they are, and you don't have to judge them.
No.
And then the second part that I like that Mel talks about is then let me.
Let me.
So what are you going to do? And that's the part when you start kind of reflecting yourself. Let them be who they are, but you have to know who you are, and then you have to start acting according to who you are.
Right. And don't you think sometimes
and what you need?
I probably have been guilty of this, right? You, a friendship or whatever, you expect these people maybe to meet some of your needs that really they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where the let me, right? That you have to still love yourself, and you still have to take care of yourself. And maybe that's where it is, the let them, like, if they can't, then that's when you let them go.
I think we mistakenly, and this could be a whole nother episode, but when we look to other people for our happiness, for our sense of joy in life, and you cannot find your happiness in other people.
No. I think they can add to it, though.
They can add to it, but you must find a way that you can be happy all on your own.
And I agree, but I also think we're going to have people in our lives. And so that's maybe.
But what if you don't? What if you don't?
There are people that don't have friends. There are people, because we're not talking about like a significant relationship like a marriage. I mean, this could apply to any kind of relationship, family dynamics. Yes. This is not about romantic relationships. This is life.
Yeah. Because we're going to have an episode.
And that's really sad to me. Like if someone doesn't have, you don't have any God, that's maybe no friends. Wow, that's really hard to, I have so many people in my life. I can't.
Because you're very social. But and we're our next episode we'll be talking about solitude, and I think we'll get more into it then. Solitude and loneliness. But the reality is, you really do have to find a place where you can be okay just by yourself. Yeah. And I think as you do that, then naturally, as throughout the process of becoming okay with yourself, you will then start to attract other people to you, and you will develop relationships. But when you're seeking and needing and, just really needing other people, then you don't always attract. You may have a lot of people in your life, but they may not be the best people for you.
Right.
So the more comfortable you get just being alone,
I like being alone.
I love being alone.
And I mean, I'm very extroverted, but I think that I've learned to like being alone. I look forward to a Friday night. I might go to the gym, come home and get a shower, get my cozy clothes on, curl up on the couch, not thinking about anybody else, and I'll put a movie on. I have enjoyed to like that. Get up in the morning Saturday, I'm alone, I go work out, I run errands. I love my friends too, and I seek that. But I feel like in the last, I don't know, especially the last few months, I've spent a lot more time alone. But again, we'll talk about that probably in our next episode because we can go
we don't want to talk about it now.
Yeah, we can go on a whole nother tangent on that, I think. But the lithium is hard. We were talking, again, it's not all people. Like think about maybe you smoke or drink or maybe the overspending someone talked about, or some of those other behaviors that are really not positive in your life.
Yeah, and how do you know? How do you know when to let go? Like when does that come? When does that realization come? What are you looking for?
I mean, I don't know. I think for me, use the overspending. Someone said overspending, I mean, I like nice things, right? The finer things.
Yeah, don't we all?
And people who know me know that I'm all about a coupon and getting the deal, and I won't go back to like a Hobby Lobby until it's 50%, But I do like to shop like the rest of them, but I do have some financial goals.
Yes.
For myself.
Yeah.
But if I keep doing those little things, I'm not going to hit the goals that I want. And so, I don't know, maybe it comes down to like, what's the most important things to you? Like if that goal is so important to me, then I got to let it go. Let that money stay, and let that stuff stay in the store. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it just gets to that point where it's just enough is enough kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think about, whether it's a job or a relationship or friendship, whenever I get to a point where I'm thinking about releasing something from my life, then I really do think about, okay, what impact is it having on my life? Is it impacting my physical health, my mental health? Am I happy? Yeah. And I know you don't look for other people to be for your happiness, but they also shouldn't, things in your life, whether it's people or jobs or anything, should not be bringing you down.
Right.
If you're spending most of your time unhappy, that's probably an indication you need to let something go in your life. Right. And so then that's when I'm really looking at, when is it time to let go? When I'm really feeling like it's negatively impacting my life. But you do have to be careful there, because I also believe that God will place you in situations where things get really tough. Yeah. And
you can't run every time.
It gets hard.
Actually, I think that's very unhealthy. Because if I run every time I have a challenge, or maybe my anxiety's flared, or maybe our friendship, you've said things to me. I've said things to you. I'm like, Kim, you just triggered me. But it's not out of not loving me. Yeah. And I've been uncomfortable where I'm like,
it's for growth.
And then I've got it just triggers something inside of me. It has nothing to do with our friendship. Yeah. But I can see how if you trigger me too much, then I might go over here, but that's not helping our friendship, and it's certainly not helping me, because then I'm running from whatever I need to grow from. Yeah. And I know me, and I know you're this way. We want to be the best versions of ourselves. Yeah. We're very much self-improvement type people.
Yeah.
And so I've appreciated when you've shared things with me. And most of the time you're not coming at it like,
right.
It just, something comes out and you're like, oh, that triggered me, kind of thing.
And you don't want to end our friendship because, I triggered you.
No, because that's where maybe the let them, it's like, sometimes I think there will be people in your life. Mm-hmm. So I'll talk about people that really, really love you. Like, love you. And it could be romantic. And it could be, just really adore you and love you. And yes, maybe some of the things that they're saying to you might trigger you.
Yes. Absolutely.
But I don't
think it will trigger you. Yeah.
It will trigger you because it's triggering maybe the parts of you that need to be healed.
Yes.
And I know we can only take so much, right? And I don't think when people are saying those things, I'm not saying they're saying it in a mean way because you should never be treated disrespectfully. This is coming out of a place of love.
Yes.
And it's being spoken out of love. And maybe some hurt on their end, but it's triggering you so much. And sometimes those relationships do sadly end, but there's a lot of love there. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that those people won't someday, come back together better and stronger. We've talked about that. But maybe for the moment, they just need to take some time to grow and introspect, to say, okay, this person loved me, family member loved me. These things were triggering me really bad, but I know I need to work on those things.
And sometimes you need space for that.
You need space. Yeah. And so I guess the let them is really, you can look at it from so many, because there are just not good people in your life that you have to say, these people are draining me because they're not good people. Or they're just, but there are those situations, and I've had them in my life, that I totally love these people.
Yeah, and so they could be, sometimes they really just aren't good people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they actually are good people, but they're still triggering you for whatever the reason.
And you're triggering them.
And I think you look at the growth that you're having. And whether or not, when I'm looking at those, making those decisions about letting things go, my ultimate indicator, and I speak a lot about God, and that's my faith, but I'm absolutely open to all different ways of, ways that people believe in different faiths. And so, I speak about God because that's what I believe in.
Yep.
But that is my barometer. And so I have absolutely stayed in situations where I personally, it was tough. But I felt like God was saying, you need to stay there and not let go.
Yeah.
And then I've always internally followed that guy that says, okay, it is time to let go.
Yeah. You've been good at that.
I've done it my whole life.
I've done it better than me.
Yeah.
Well,
not much better than you.
Well, I've talked about this the other day, like even sometimes jobs. Think about a job. I have friends that are in jobs right now that might not be fulfilling, and I'm seeing their mental health like literally go down the drain.
Yeah.
I can hear it in their voice when I talk to them. I can see it. Maybe just so many things in their life has changed, but it's because of the job.
Yeah.
But you have to make an effort to get out of the situation too. And that's not easy, right? It's not easy to say, okay, like looking for a job is a full-time job.
Yeah.
But once they get out of it, they're just like, oh my gosh, why did I wait so long? Sometimes people have a habit of staying longer than they should.
Yes.
Maybe because, I don't know, and I know that I'm that way. I've done that in a job before. Sometimes potential.
Yeah.
Maybe the job can change. Maybe I'll get a new boss. Maybe somebody will come, I don't know, and promote me to a different department. I don't know. And so you wait and you hope.
Yes.
But that's not being proactive in your life.
It is not.
And it's not healthy. And I think people do that in relationships too. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of good. You see potential.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes it's just not enough, right?
Yeah, and potential is great. You want to think positively, and you want to, hope and give experiences and different things the opportunity to change and to grow. But at some point, potential is not enough. Yeah. And you have to see action and make sure that it aligns with where you are.
Yeah.
And you'll know that. I think people know that. When it's time to let something go.
It's hard.
But it's hard.
Like, I got to give up my Diet Pepsi. I've been drinking Diet Pepsi.
You've been giving up Diet Pepsi a long time.
A long time. People who really know me know that. I even said, I'm not going to drink one in 2025. I'm going to really try in January. Well, I've already had 3. That's not horrible. I don't drink them
Yeah.
too much, but they're still not good for you. I know they're not good for me, but I drink them anyway.
Yeah.
And so think how hard that is to let them, right? And then you talked about letting go of control of, I don't think people actively are thinking, I want to control this person, but subconsciously maybe. But you can't, and you can't change people. And you look how hard it is to change yourself. I can't give up Diet Pepsi, right? And how hard it is to give up a bad habit like that.
Yeah.
And so you just got to be gentle with yourself.
Yes. And gentle with whatever situation. Just not, just knowing that it's not necessarily bad.
No.
And you tend to learn so many lessons, and but some other ways that you can look at it too is like if you're involved in anything and your morals are being questioned, your integrity are being threatened. I have worked in environments where I absolutely felt like my integrity was being threatened.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I wasn't comfortable with it.
So that was your sign.
Yeah, that was my sign.
Yeah,
it's not the place for me. If I have to do something that I don't personally believe in, that's not for me.
You should never. Yeah. You should never
compromise.
Because you should give people you should give people the chance. I think people you love. I think you should give them the chance to grow and to maybe work on some things. But like you said, sometimes it's got to be done separately.
Yeah,
and that's hard. It's hard. Even though it's the right thing, it's hard when you love someone or something.
Yeah. And so how do you navigate the emotional side of things? Because letting go can be painful.
Yeah, I think for me, I talk about working out a lot. Nothing's going to keep me from working out. I mean, I love it. I actually start a challenge on Monday, a weightlifting challenge. And a lot of times for me, I used to run, I think, not run from my problems, maybe over schedule myself.
Yes.
I would stay so busy.
Well, and it is running.
Which is running. Mm-hmm. So I would stay so busy. Yeah. And it was like literally till the time I went to bed, and it was like I did housework till 9, got my stuff together, go to bed. You don't have time to think then. That's not healthy. Yeah. And so this was, I've let that go years ago. But I think now, working out obviously is so healthy. I'm by myself most of the time if I'm not taking a class, but lifting weights, I'm by myself. And all that energy I'm feeling when I'm letting something go or struggling with something, I like to put it back into positive things.
Yes.
So it's not going to keep me down for too long. Who doesn't cry? Who doesn't get sad? Who doesn't say, okay, I'm going to stay in bed till 11 o'clock? One thing I do want to share, it's kind of a story like that. I talked about when we've had our first episode, I'm a divorced woman. I've been divorced a long, long, long time. So I've been single a long time and by myself a long time. I do have a son, but I've still spent a lot of time alone. Some of those years I was so busy and didn't so it probably wasn't a good time to be alone because I wasn't using that time to my benefit, but I have in the last few years.
And you kind of needed to, you're raising your son.
Right,
and
right.
As a single parent, you're going to be busy. So it doesn't leave a lot of time for it.
I didn't have a lot of time for myself, but this one particular moment, it's almost like you said, how do you deal with those emotions? It was our first Thanksgiving. And I had my son 100% of the time. And so his dad came down from Pennsylvania to get him and drove down. And the deal was he had another driver literally grab our son, turn around and head on back. Yeah. Well, as a mother, the first Thanksgiving, my 8-year-old child, it was horrific. I still think about that moment.
I remember
It was awful. And I had spent the day before Trey left prepping food because a friend had invited me over because I wasn't going to my parents' set. And so his dad got there, say, about midnight. We got him ready, and I'm taking my time trying to say goodbye to my son, and his dad, was like, we got to get back on the road. And I'm like, you listen here. I'm going to take as long as I need to because this is the first Thanksgiving without my child, and this is not easy. And I was in my feelings, and it was hard. And I went back to bed, and I remember crying and cried and cried and cried. It was you needed to cry.
Yes.
I needed to feel it. And the next morning I got up, and I cried some more, and it was Thanksgiving morning, and I literally told myself, okay, you can cry, I think I said till 10 o'clock. You can stay in this bed and be sad until 10 o'clock, but then you're going to get up and you're going to get a shower and you're going to put makeup on and you're going to feel beautiful and you're going to go over to your friend's house and you're going to go have a blast on Thanksgiving. And then we went Black Friday shopping, and I think we probably ran into you. It was at the mall. But when I reflected the other day, this popped in my head the other day when we were preparing, and I thought, I could have used that time, that really, really hard time, and just got utterly depressed and felt sorry for myself, not go with my friends, stay in bed all weekend, spend Thanksgiving all alone. And I guess long answer to your question is putting that energy into positive things. And that's what I did that day. And I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I missed my son, man. And that Thanksgiving was a hard one. But it got easier and it got easier and it got easier. But I took that energy for good. And that was what I would do to encourage people to do.
For the emotional pain. Yeah. And something else you said, which I thought was good when you think about letting things go, because you were physically letting your child go during that process. But just think about a lot of the pain also may have been the act of letting go, kind of that vision of your family. Having Thanksgiving together as a family and letting that go also. So you got to think about when you let things go, that emotion may not come from the physical thing you're letting go. It might tie into other emotional triggers that you have.
Because I don't even think we were yet divorced. Matter of fact, I don't think we got divorced to the following April. So you're probably right. I was probably like, that was the first year. Everything was weird. I mean, that Christmas, I remember that was the first Christmas that everything was weird at my parents' house. Like, I mean, that's a great point. Yeah. So it's not just one component of
it's digging deeper.
But don't you think when you dig deep, though, and even you're digging deep, and I think you got to feel that stuff, but use those emotional feelings you're feeling of the loss to turn it into something good. Not maybe not the gym, but even just like, we talked about God. God is very strong in my life too, and my girlfriend gave me a Bible that you can read in a year this year, and I brought it out the other night, and I started, doing, again, it's a positive thing, but I think that's going to help with maybe some of the things that I'm dealing with too.
Yeah.
So trying to stay positive in a negative, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
And don't you think it's like a roller coaster? So like yesterday might have been a great day, and today's maybe not such a great day.
Yeah.
But you can't get stuck on the days that aren't, or the moments that aren't great.
You can't get stuck at any point in life. And I think the biggest way that I deal with the emotional pain of things, one is to absolutely now lean into it and not run from it.
Yeah.
Mine is food, emotional eater, and absolutely will turn to food for, all sorts of safety blankets and securities and everything else.
No, because when I got on my journey, I'm getting in shape. I remember I could catch myself going to the cabinet.
Yeah.
And like I told you the other day, I think not that it's all gone because I still catch myself.
Yes.
But it's been so many years that I have control. But I understand exactly what you're saying.
But you can catch yourself.
Yeah.
Catch yourself in the process of doing that, and
like a negative behavior.
Yes, it's a negative that's going to hurt you.
Gonna hurt you.
So instead of leaning into the positive, like you were talking about, you can choose to lean into the negative. Yep. You can become depressed. You can do all of those things.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that I try to come out of that is reflecting on what is the lesson in this for me.
The lesson.
And I believe, that whatever happens to me in my life, good, bad, or indifferent, that there is a purpose for that happening in my life. And so I might kick and scream. I might kick and scream and be like, just be angry at everybody. And why am I in this situation? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to give up all this stuff? Like, why do I have to do it? Yeah, all the chocolate.
But at least you're reflecting, Kim, on that, because I think sometimes, right, people, are letting go of whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable. They'll turn to the negative things, overeating.
You don't want to stay there and deal with your stuff.
Right, but they even might go to some morally bad things.
Yes.
That they're not even aligned with them, because in the moment it feels good, it like
takes your mind off of it.
Well, the overeating, spending money, all of this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, then you end up with a guilt cycle, and who wants to be in that? So you got to be really mindful. I think when you are letting go, try to really focus that you're not letting go of something maybe negative in your life or something that's not working in your life. and then replace it with something else that's not working
Right.
or going to work for you, because that could easily happen. Like
that
you were
could
saying.
very, very easily
And if
happen.
you're trying to live,
I think if you don't learn the lesson, it'll still be in you, because sometimes you let things go, and really it's about you as much as it is about the other person.
Yeah.
And if you don't take the time to kind of reflect on yourself,
Yep.
you will be back in that situation.
No,
It'll just look a little bit different.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That
Yeah.
is and
When you learn, so when you kind of look at when it's time to let go, and you make the decision to let go, and you kind of go through all the pain of that, then you start the process of healing.
yeah.
And so how do you know when you are starting to heal? And one of the ways that I know, and I hope that other people can identify with this, is you start to feel a sense of excitement about the change.
Yeah.
And you start feeling kind of that energy building of it's a new beginning, instead of looking at it as a negative thing. And that's how I know that I am healing and ready to move on.
And don't think too, like the kind of beautiful thing, it's like, and then you take those lessons, and you're stronger and you're a better person. And hey, maybe some of those people that you walked away from did the same thing.
Yes.
And then you end up in friendships, relationships with people that you really truly loved, but you just weren't.
Sometimes people come back together.
Oh my gosh, we hear about those stories all the time. What about those people, like they were high school sweethearts, and then this one gets married, that one, they have children, and then when they're 60 years old, they get back together because they never stop loving each other.
Or relationships evolve too.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a romantic relationship and you become friends. Maybe you were really close friends and you had to kind of set some boundaries and pull back in terms of friendship, but you're still connected.
Yeah.
And care about one another and still involved at some level in one another's life. Relationships evolve.
They do.
And you may, have one job that you absolutely just did not like or outgrew. But it doesn't mean that it was a bad place to work. It just
there's
means
lessons.
Yeah,
The
there's
lessons.
lessons. It just means that it wasn't a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you were there for a time, a season in your life, and then you're ready to move on to other
But
things.
you learned something, I think.
Yeah.
And so maybe, again, going back to that positive energy, even though sometimes things are hard,
Yes.
whether being in a position maybe you're not fulfilled at work, but maybe you learned that you needed to do this other kind of work because of that job.
Yeah.
And had you not had that job,
Yes.
you wouldn't make that decision. And so I agree with you on
Yeah.
that 100%.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I would really want to add too is I know in the process of letting things go, you really have to listen to your internal compass. So yes, I'm going to talk with my friends and I'm going to get feedback and advice, but I have to know for myself what my decision is about letting go, whatever it is in my life. Because I know that I have been in situations where other people have allowed me to swayed my opinion on what I did and my choices that I've made. And it ended up not only hurting myself, but actually ended up hurting other people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't listen to my internal.
You weren't like true
to what I wanted to do and what I knew to be right for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, trusting yourself is not easy all the time. And I know for me that's a struggle that I have, but I'm looking forward to talking about our next episode with solitude because because I am so people oriented. I have the last couple years because of a new opportunity, my new job and all that. I've spent a lot more time alone, even in that role. And so at times uncomfortable. I think it's been good for my growth.
Yes.
And so I think it's great to have a couple friends that you can trust to talk about whether it's a relationship or maybe an addiction or a challenge that you might have. But if you think about it, they're only getting one side, right?
Yeah,
they're not seeing, they don't have the full emotional capacity.
And people bring their own stuff to the table.
That's right. So even more, I think it's also important to be selective on who you talk to.
Yes.
People who do generally love you, keep it tight to just a few couple people because you do need to trust your friends.
Yes. And you do need to listen to the things that they say to you because sometimes they see you in a way differently than you see yourself.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But at that same time, like you said, because I know that I've made some big decisions in life. I mean, I'm in North Carolina for one of the for not really trusting. But
I'm glad you made that decision because we wouldn't have met.
Exactly. We talked about that not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, this is a beautiful. I love my home and my son's home. So I don't think I ever want to leave North Carolina. But that was a time in my life that I went against everything that I was feeling and what I knew to be true. And I had anxiety and, it was a hot mess. But it has worked out for the greater good.
Yeah.
But I had to go through all that.
Yeah. You had a lot of lessons to learn.
A lot of lessons. But I learned them now.
Yeah. So when you let go, it's going to be painful. Mm-hmm. Chances are. And there are going to be lessons in it. You have to be willing to look for them, not run from the pain of it.
No, and spend some time alone.
Yes.
You can't fill it with other things. Because if you do, I could fill it with the gym, but again, I'm alone, so a lot of times you're in your head anyway.
Yeah.
But if you fill it with too many things, you're not gonna see the beauty that can come from such a trying time.
Yeah.
I think.
And that is a wonderful, amazing thing about letting go. When you make the choice to do it, and it is the right choice for you, there is the absolute beauty on the other side of it, and the healing that occurs in the process of letting go. And then you become a stronger person. And some of the things that you can do, I am not a huge journaler. I guess that's the right word. But I don't journal, but I do write. And
beautifully.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But that is a way that you can really, you use the gym, but that is another way, a tool that you can use to help you in the process of letting things go. Really kind of getting in touch with your own emotions and seeing things in writing is way different than keeping all those thoughts going in your head.
Yeah, it's funny you say I have a journal from when I was married, and I just wrote scripture that spoke to me at the time, and I found it recently. I've been divorced 13 years, a long time, and I still have that. And it was a great reminder of when you put that when you let go into something like that and write it down, how positive that can be. Yeah. And I do that sometimes. I've got some great journal books. So,
and a lot of people may not know about this. A lot of people might, because it's more and more popular. I kind of discovered it just from watching lots of YouTube videos, and then I went to a conference and had the opportunity to experience a sound bath.
Ooh, I know you talked about it.
Yeah, I've talked about the sound. I've fallen in love with them over the last year. And my oldest daughter, goes to a gym and started going to her gym, and it's Glow. And it's in Raleigh. Yep, and so I can't, if I could go there all the time, I would. Yeah. But I try to go at least once a month.
I love it.
And I'll probably add that to twice. And just kind of experience the sound therapy. The last time I went, I thought it was funny. My oldest daughter was there, and she said, I came dancing out of the class.
Well, I want to go. I know we talked about it, but I was sick.
But you do absolutely have the experience. You let things go. It is so peaceful. And it's like a guided meditation with the sound bowls and the crystal bowls and all of that. And you just come out feeling like you have just kind of let the energy of the negative things go. It's just a wonderful experience. And then, of course, the walking, being in nature.
Oh, nature,
at the lake. Oh,
I know that's been your safe haven.
It has been my safe haven
and
this
last
year.
And you're by yourself most of the time. Sometimes you go with your daughter.
Not that often,
but mostly by yourself,
And
right?
even if I do go with her, I just leave her.
Oh, gosh.
We're like walking separately.
Well, maybe she needs that time alone, too, that solitude.
And I'll stop and sit, and I'll look, just kind of look at the lake and the birds. And
I think, because you're not on your phone. You might take a picture, but you're not listening to social media, getting caught up
or listening to music. I do listen to music.
Highlight reels of people's lives, and it's like it really allows you to become one within yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So just looking for those things that you can do that will help you to heal as you are in the process of letting go.
And I know this morning I told you when I was getting ready to come to the studio, on our first episode, we talked about this necklace, Kendra Scott. You got me this necklace. And I remember you even saying, I know it's pink, but you might not like it. But it's now become like a symbolism for me and a reminder. And I think even today is a good day since we're talking about it. And when I put it on this morning, that it's just a good reminder that you sometimes have to let go. It hurts, but you also have to be one within yourself and trust yourself and know you are good enough the way you are.
Yes.
And not letting go of things that you love or don't love or leaving a job or whatever has nothing to do with who you are as a person, and that as long as you love yourself,
Yeah.
kind of going back to a lot of the theme of our podcast, is all that matters. And so
Yes.
I made sure I put it on today so I would remember to love myself. Well, I think we've had a great discussion today, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's helped y'all as well.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your support and for joining us on our 4th episode. Before we end, Kim would like to end today's episode with a quote to share with everyone.
Yes, and it's from John Kabat-Zinn, and it's not a matter of letting go. You would if you could. Instead of let it go, we should probably say let it be.
Ooh. Oh, that gives me the chills.
Yeah.
Let it be. Let it be for what it's.
It's kind of like what Mel says, let them. Just let it be.
Almost like I always say, It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, that's a great quote to leave today's episode
Yes.
on. Makes you think, for sure. But again, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at our next episode when we talk about solitude.